Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, Traders Pro. Market conditions remaining bullish in a bull market. Current rank of that is 12.96, which is this number right here. We're at the upper end of the range. Certainly, we're running into the resistance area, and we're starting to see some extreme areas now. We finally did get momentum running up here to this upper range, up to the extreme range. We're also seeing breadth now also extreme, and sentiment also extreme. We are also seeing the buy-sell ratio, which is also extreme to the upside here. We've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks when we talk about this length of time here when the green line is staying above the red line. Just like when we run into red line above green line, or green, in this case, red line above green line here, that's a buy-sell ratio of 1. On this chart down here, this 1 level right here, when we drag that over across, roughly when it's less than 1, like this, that's creating this scenario here, or I should say this scenario is creating a buy-sell ratio that is less than 1. It looks like this on this line. When it's above 1, we're getting green above red. These are the bullish market conditions that we've been in. These are the main times that we really want to be participating in stocks. These are scenarios where only certain stocks and certain areas of the market are working. Oftentimes, this just creates a more challenging market environment for individual stocks because the market as a whole is moving lower. This is essentially the entire market within our database, where we have 6,000 stocks that are included. So it's a pretty wide perspective of what the market is doing. When it maintains these areas and they start to be wide like this, that's an area we just start to want to be aware. Market can start to get tired in these areas, and really across the board, we're starting to see that. It's been a really strong rally. We could see one more pop here. It would actually be kind of nice to see another good strong day or two rally, run us up into these areas. We're getting very close on S&P 500 to some all-time highs. NASDAQ and Dow are there. Let's look at volatility. We haven't seen a real big dip back down here. Let's look at bonds as well on sentiment. We know that bonds have had this big nice run up. They're due for a pullback as well. Let's look at T-notes. Really, T-notes, T-bonds, light sweet crude has been down here at the bottom. So if you're looking for rotations, we could see a rotation back into oil stocks from here. Let's take a look at the sectors. We actually have all sector ETFs, which are all green. It hasn't happened for quite some time. We got the energy iShare, which is IYE, also back up into somewhat of an uptrend here. This gap back up above some resistance area. I don't have my lines on. Let me add those in. And so back to bouncing off of that deeper low. Let's go to the 1-year time frame, and so some positivity really across the board. That could be a sector shift, or at least a rotation over into an oversold area of energy. If we take a look at the commodity that is pushing that is obviously oil, and we're seeing a nice bounce in USO, which is the oil ETF, off of the same low. Similar type of pattern. We've talked about this now, where we've now broken. We talked about this area, this 67 area needed to be broken. It's now broken. If we can hold above that, that's that first step back to a trend reversal, when we start to bottom out and then we start to climb back up the other direction, and then hold that upper range, or hold that rung in the ladder. That is essentially a new support area that the market can then start to see if it's going to start to create some demand at those locations, or if it runs into some of these upper areas and starts to reverse back down. But that's why you get so much work. The stock, or the commodity, or the market even, has got a lot of work when it's in these patterns, because it's got to climb back up and prove that it's overcoming these resistance areas that are overhead. But as it does that, then again, it's starting to commit to that trend, and we can have a little bit more confidence in that overall direction. If we take a look at some muscle stocks for today, let's take a look here. AUGX, seeing medical information systems here. This is a 1-year time frame, upper momentum range, and like a lot of stocks that are sitting in this area, they can run up into this upper range and they can get a good confirmation breakout for some continuation. Again, market conditions right here, you just have to be a little bit cautious. We're always going to have new stocks that are in new uptrends, but we just have to be a little bit cautious when markets are at these upper ranges as far as adding aggressively into new positions and new portfolios. But we're seeing some really nice patterns here. Overall, this is a nice setup with APP, pull back into that momentum zone, confirmation bar, lots of green across the board here. Really that entire bullish profile, when you have a pattern that looks like this, stock has moved back out of this hold range here, back up into this momentum buy zone, and it's in this upper quarter of the chart where it's finding some support, starting to move higher, and has some fundamentals to back up the story as well. Annual EPS, quarterly EPS, sales growth also working, and it's got a high rank, which means that it is outperforming 99% of all other stocks in the database. So it's a strong moving stock with some potential reason why it's moving in terms of it's a company that is working. That makes a stock ideal when you have the company that is also profitable and working and growing. That's what we're looking for, is we're looking for those kind of stocks that do have fundamental backbone. Not always, because a lot of times you miss out on opportunities if you focus entirely on that, but ultimately long term, the company has to be working or be perceived as working and profitable and moving forward with nice prospects as well. That just pulls more and more eyeballs into the stock and more volume into the stock. Is what we ultimately want to see, is we want to have demand in that company and in that idea as it continually moves higher, and as the company continues to perform and put up good numbers, the stock will typically continue to follow as well. Once we start to see fundamental factors and growth factors that start to slow, stocks will reverse as well. So we want to have that multiple facet of the trade. We want the momentum. We want it to be in a stock that is also fundamentally growing, and this is a nice looking setup for that. Let's jump down to SYM. SYM is one, I think I talked about it yesterday. This is a stock that has the potential to really move aggressively. It has moved in this last year from $10 all the way up to $60, retraced a lot of that. Now it had a big gap higher on earnings and is holding that momentum zone now. A really good shot or potential shot at those recent highs around 64. Let's go out a couple of years on this. And this is the highs for the last 2 years. And again, had enough time to retrace deeply back into a 50% 618 zone. You can see that buy zone here extending over, stocks finding support in that range. Ultimately, it did hold at that level, and a good confirmation bar up 6%, moving back into that buy zone. So some ideas to consider for either a new portfolio addition or adding into a watch list. That'll do it for today's update. If you don't have full access to the software, you can sign up with the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a fantastic day today.